Human activities are responsible for climate change.
Europe has recorded its highest ever temperature.
Right now, we are facing a man-made disaster.
Droughts are intensifying, our oceans are acidifying, decades ahead of scientific projections.
The collapse of our civilizations is on the horizon.
We cannot solve a crisis without treating it as a crisis. You have ignored us in the past and you will ignore us again. We have come here to let you know that change is coming, whether you like it or not. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
I am on the roll.
Okay. I'm Anna Leckie and I am the artistic director and producer of Three's Theatre Company. So I was the project manager. There was a city council commission that came out and I think I've always wanted to do something about climate change that wasn't cheesy. Whenever the opportunity came around that there was a little bit of funding that we could use to really make something impactful, it was a great chance to jump at. So it started with just coming up with an idea. What about that escape room thing that I did a couple of weeks ago? And in one of the escape rooms, they had this Houdini water box thing. And I was like, oh, that would be fun. I wonder if we could put that in different places. So I messaged Stephen, who owns Escapade HQ. And I was like, you see that box that you have? Could you make me another one? And could you make it for me in 3 weeks? And he said, I like a challenge. I don't think any of us are doing enough. I was plastic free for an entire year and I'm not plastic free anymore. It is the consumer's decisions, like the decisions we make, and that year give me so much control. And I was like, okay, I think I'm making a difference. It's the corporations, it's the government, it's everybody's job. And those people in power have the ability to make big decisions and they're not making them.
My name is Katie Richardson and I was the composer and sound designer on the project. I think for me it was the mixture of trying to use organic sounds and found sounds with this kind of more like electronic soundscape as well. When I first heard the poem, it really impacted me, so I hope that people take something from it, like feel moved by it and feel empowered by it, because I think it's meant to, we are saying like there is something we can do.
I wrote the script. It's a little bit of like poetry and spoken word, and that was nice. That was a fun thing for me to do. I wanted it to be very much about like this Belfast city that we love and like lulling you into this false sense of security, and then to talk about what Belfast is going to look like if we don't act, and how these places that we're so used to, like hanging out at City Hall as a teenager, it's going to be gone. Like it's the next generation's not going to get it.
My name's Stephen Dixon and I'm the owner of Escapade HQ, the escape rooms. We've been the design build team for Anna's Sinking Feeling box. The whole idea that we've come up with Anna is to demonstrate climate change and the rising water and making it really real for people, not just talking about it, but a visual demonstration. The water in this box will rise around them. It'll give them that feeling that climate change is real, the water levels are rising and they're going to have an impact on people and we need to do something. I'm a dad of 3 kids. It's not going to have a massive impact in my lifetime, but it will within their lifetime. I'm hoping to have grandkids someday and I know it'll definitely change their world.
I knew that I wanted it to be a structure that you could stand in and experience the sort of claustrophobia effect of what it's like to drown as such. And I think there's so much done with technology now that actually to create something very visceral and very real, like to have that water rising between the 2 panels, is just, you can't ignore it.
So my name's Tony Marshall, I'm the General Manager of Escapade HQ, and my role on the box is, first of all, to design the box and then deliver the product to Anna. It was quite a difficult one, if I'm being honest, because obviously everything that we have in the escape rooms now, everything's in situ, where this is a mobile one, so it is, more challenging. More compartments to hide sort of underneath floors, not having much room. How do we transport it without breaking it at the same time? It's a steel structure, then we cladded it with plywood, and then we've obviously put our pumps in the bottom so the water can go in, the water can come out. I think it will be a big wow factor. Hopefully it'll, make people realise and raise awareness. And I think it'll give people a feeling of, actually being in the ocean, if you like, and the water rising above them, and then being able to realise if we don't change things, this is what's going to happen.
My name is Dylan, and I'm a fabricator and designer for the project that we've got here with the box. Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge when it came to the whole water going in the box, the pressure sensors and everything. I done the steel side, fabricating the steel. Tony done the woodwork of it. Seeing all that come together, it was just amazing for me. I think people are disconnected from the effects of climate change because they can think of what's happening immediately. If you can't bring anything that's happening to them immediately, they would never understand it. Speaking to someone, they were saying to me, there's no point doing the whole side recycling because it's all going to get thrown in the landfill. But it's obviously that there's not enough information out there to show people that something is actually happening. It's going to make people inquisitive about what that box is all about.
My name's Zephyr Reynolds, also known as Artist Zippy. I am a mural artist and an illustrator, and my role on this was design the artwork and paint it onto the box. Anna sent me this information of Belfast, what areas would be underwater in 100 years' time. Kind of looked at that map and then picked out important landmarks and then put them in the design to be like, these bits will be underwater. The colour scheme came from Belfast City Council, a city imagining, so I kind of picked which buildings and which elements would be best suited with the colours. With the whole project being around climate change and the rising sea levels, then I decided to use this paint by a company in England. It has this property of absorbing CO2 once it's painted. A lot of my art, I do like to focus on activism or climate change, and especially to do with the oceans and animals in the ocean. So this was really drove me into this project. People are just too comfortable here. I don't think they really realise the impact of other places around the world. I think here they're just like, oh, it's roasting in winter. Oh, well, that's weird, but it's nice. And you're just like, no, that's really scary. It's important for people to open their eyes and realise what's happening around the world and how that's affecting our country now as well.
Whenever we place the box in different places in Belfast, we hope that it'll be quite eye-catching because Zippy's done a brilliant job on making sure that it's bright and colourful, and it's an unusual thing to see in the city centre. So it'll be placed in different locations during COP26. And whenever they go in, they'll put on their headphones, they'll trigger a pressure switch. So whenever they stand in the box, the water will begin to rise. And they'll listen to a 4-minute experience. And whenever they come out of the box, we'll ask them what they thought and what they think needs to be done. They'll be able to write their feelings and thoughts and views on a luggage tag that will be tied to the box. And that's sort of to symbolise the climate migrants that have already been displaced and ourselves that will be displaced.
Let it go there. Like slowly. Okay, that's it.
Got you, baby. Hi, Max. Hello. Your new home for today.
I'm going to push play, and after about 1 minute I'll let you into the box.
Okay.
The water will rise, you're not going to get wet. This is not locked, it's just a little bit of Velcro. If at any point you need to leave, you can leave.
Quite okay, I trust you.
Okay, good. So we're here with our installation piece, That Sinking Feeling, and we're outside Queen's today. So we've got some people that are booked in, and then we're just trying to pick up some other people that are walking past, just to get them through the experience and to sort of have more conversations about climate change.
Power have much more to do, but the future generations do depend on youth. True. These streets soon to be entirely submerged. From the land, no more plastic, no more traffic, car parks a thing of the past. Vertical gardens are our future. Green cities, healthy cities, fresh water down the towpath.
Well, it's kind of surreal. I mean, I've been doing this research and teaching and activism for 30 years, and it's always been talking, writing, speaking in the media, but to experience that and to have the sounds, climate change isn't happening somewhere else, it's happening right here, right now. So I really enjoyed it, probably the wrong word, it is kind of disturbing, but it's also life-affirming in that, it talks about what the alternatives are in terms of rooftop gardens, in terms of the circular economy. I recommended everybody to do it.
People put so much pressure on individuals, recycle and turn your lights off, but actually what we need to be talking about is corporations signing up to agreements. That is happening at COP26, but I don't know if it's enough.
Do you think we're doing enough in Northern Ireland to try and combat climate change?
Absolutely not. We have a Minister for the Environment that has a really weak climate change bill going through the Assembly. We need a much more aggressive one. And we're in a wartime situation now. It's code red for humanity. Yeah, you wouldn't think that by looking at our politicians and what they're not doing. I think the young people demonstrating on the streets, that's what gives me hope. Not necessarily the government or anyone else like that in power.
I think that everybody is now starting to realise the scale of the challenge and beginning to realise that this isn't something that governments can do on their own. It requires change from all of us in our lives, how we lead our lives, the decisions we take, and crucially also about what we can do as a society to help other societies.
The experience was fantastic. It's really important to have an experience that isn't passive, that you're actually totally involved in. And the audio itself was almost enough. You could close your eyes and, you know, it was really, really powerful. I'm buzzing after actually, and I'm so proud of what Anna's achieved here. It's wonderful.
What do we need to do to stop the climate change?
I think it's about putting pressure on the people.
We've had a couple of years of people taking more personal responsibility, becoming vegans, trying to do recycling, but it just isn't enough. We need to be moving towards a lifestyle that kind of is uncomfortable. We can't carry on at this really unsustainable rate.
It's been positive on the experience itself, like on the hiring at home. People keep saying that it's making it personal, which I think is important. Looking at Queens slowly sinking is, I think, something that you can't ignore whenever you're going through it. It's been going pretty well, even though it's quite a depressing subject matter, obviously.
There's a line in the piece that talked about Belfast being the second biggest polluted city in the UK, which I thought was just mad, you know. I think a lot more of our economy needs to focus more on renewable energy as opposed to just chasing profit just for the sake of it.
Just getting into a small space, which I don't like anyway, and then just realizing that as the water got higher, that would be happening everywhere, was a really powerful experience.
This is Belfast, our wee Goldilocks land. Not too hot and not too cold. Not too affected by climate change, so we just get on as we always have. 1 million trees is not enough. Belfast, what are you going to do?